So ever since I started this subs versus dubs series on my channel, people have been, like, coming at me with all these questions about, like, what, like, authorial intent kind of stuff, if you know what I mean? Like, how do I know that my interpretation of a thing is actually valid? And, like, that kind of question pisses me off. Because, like, it gets into all these questions like, what's valid anyway? Who cares about anything? Like, when it comes to media, why not just like what you like, you know? Mm-hmm. This tangent didn't go the way I expected it to. Let's start over.
Too late. We've already begun.
No, it's not too late. It's never too late.
You can't just restart a casual conversation in a hallway.
Of course we can. We're keeping all of this in, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Guys, what is anime?
What is anime? What isn't anime? I think is
anime
the right
is a
question.
Japanese colloquialism. But yeah, I've been thinking a lot about what anime is and is not. And I don't know, I was curious about your opinions, because, like, you know me, I'm a comparative literature guy. I like thinking about these kinds of questions.
Well, like, the reason why I put this on the totally not list that we're looking at right now.
Yeah, on the dry erase board on your locker.
Yes, exactly. It was because you had like a rant you almost went into last episode about what is anime. Because I brought up, like, you know, anime is a genre, then you corrected me and was like, oh, you're right, it's actually technically a medium, and then you're like, well, no, it's a movement. And I wanted to hear more about this, but you just like, all right, let's just save this for another episode. So this is another episode. So
Well, you're right, it is.
Let's go into that. I'm kind of curious.
Well, like, the whole anime is a movement thing is Jeff Thu, Mother's Basement. He came up with this idea, which is to say that what we think of as anime is a series of works that are being inspired by each other. Mm-hmm. And so, like, we don't have any clear dividing line of what is and isn't anime. But we can say, okay, this creator was inspired by this creator, was inspired by this creator, and we can link it all together. And that link is basically what anime is.
That's a neat concept. I do.
I mean, there are still some problems with it, but it's the most cohesive idea of, like, what anime is. That I've heard somebody come up with.
That's pretty good. I should watch some of Jeff's videos every once in a while.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten around to it.
No, he's got some good stuff.
I'm just kidding. No, I'm a big fan of Jeff. I just haven't seen most of his recent stuff.
Yeah.
So what is anime? So, like, I kind of agree with that. See, my thing is I used to always call it a genre just because that's the easiest way.
Definitely not that.
People were getting triggered by that, so I just started calling it a medium. But even that's not entirely true, because a medium's a form. So it's kind of like, you know, that means traditional Japanese animation and modern Japanese animation are two different mediums.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like...
Which is nonsense.
Yeah, so, you know, and then there's stuff that use both, like, both traditional and... It's like such a weird generic thing. So I think that's a better kind of way to over-encompass anime, because... It's such a fucking confusing bullshit mess. Nowadays, you got, like, all this anime coming from China. Mm-hmm. There's actually a few good, decent Chinese anime now, which is interesting.
Yeah, like King's Avatar is one that I've heard of.
Yeah, exactly. King's Avatar is pretty solid. I mean, it's not, like, great, but you can tell they're definitely catching on.
Right.
So, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. No, like, Alex, do you have something to say? I don't want to dominate this conversation.
Not really.
Great.
Go ahead and dominate the conversation.
Yeah, like, one of the things that I like about the definition of anime as a movement is that it manages to avoid a lot of those pitfalls, like, oh, is Spongebob anime? Because, like, SpongeBob isn't inspired by the same works as fucking, I don't know, Made in Abyss, Dragon Ball, Children of Whales, the three biggest anime of all time. So it's not inspired by the same line of creators as those kinds of things. But in Japan, it's still anime. Well, because anime is just anything animated.
The problem with that theory, I can kind of see the little hole, is that Japanese animation was originally inspired by American animation.
Right.
So you got this weird kind of circular thing going. So like Japanese animation was inspired by animation from the United States, which SpongeBob technically was inspired by animation from the United States, because basically is animation from the United States. So in a weird theory, SpongeBob is anime.
Well, not even in a weird theory, just by a Japanese conception of anime, SpongeBob is anime. But, like, the thing about that line of thinking is I think it's more accurate to think of that kind of thing as sort of a common ancestor type deal.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah, like, SpongeBob and, I don't know, Astro Boy were both inspired by early American animation, in a sense, in that if you trace it back far enough, you're eventually going to get to the earliest American cartoons, like Disney and everything. But the problem with saying that Adventure Time and fucking Sword Art Online were both equally inspired by Snow White is that over time their paths have delineated. They've branched off in different directions. So while you can eventually trace the history of animation from both Japanese and American perspectives back to the earliest cartoons there've ever been, it defeats the concept of a movement to say, okay, everything comes from this one thing, so it's all the same.
Yeah.
So, like, you can't include a French New Wave film in the same vein as, like, modern Hollywood blockbusters, just because they both go back to, like, Nosferatu and The Iceman Cometh, and I forget what the earliest movies are, but...
the Lumiere brothers.
Yeah. Just because they both have a history in that kind of work doesn't mean that they're part of the same movement.
I don't know. I think this is all just a part of the Lumiere's brothers movement that's been going on for
it's all cave paintings,
years.
Man. Cave paintings on walls.
Exactly.
So yeah, this is the kind of question. I don't know. I want to say that I don't find it very interesting. I think it's more accurate to say that I don't find it very important. Because, like, anime is a thing we made up. Like, I went on this rant in a Doki Doki Literature Club questing mark video, plug for my gaming channel, about how I took an English class once, where we were trying to nail down a definition of poetry. And eventually, I just came to the conclusion that there is no such thing as poetry. It doesn't exist. It's an intellectual fantasy that we've used to group certain kinds of writing together. But that there's no actual hard way to define what poetry is and isn't, and that doesn't matter. So the same thing goes with anime. It's like, there was a science fiction writer named Damon... something like that. And he said, when asked to define science fiction, that science fiction is what we point to when we say it. And I think it's kind of like that with most things. So, when it comes to media, we just aren't able to have those hard definitions.
I think what you mean art, just in general.
Yeah, sure.
Because it's fucking...
When it comes to a lot of things, like, it doesn't stop at art. What is a country? What is a university?
True.
Like, any of these groupings that we use to define large concepts like that just don't really work.
Well, no, I disagree with you there. It's not a case that they don't really work; it's that they don't have solid definitions, and that's
that's what I mean when I say they don't really work.
Yeah, as in because that's the importance of this stuff is that it does really do a good job at what it does. You know,
yeah, they're useful. It's just that
drawing these relatively
of
generic lines that you can kind of group things into, just because otherwise, if you overthink and analyze anything, you can put fucking anything anywhere. It's one of those things.
Yeah, like when I say they don't really work, I mean a computer would have trouble figuring them out.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, one question that I had while I was thinking for this hallway meeting that we're doing, was that because the example that everybody goes to when they say that anime doesn't have to be Japanese is Avatar: The Last Airbender. because that's like the quintessential American anime. But then I got to thinking about the question of SpongeBob being anime. And when, like I mentioned, when you think about it from a Japanese perspective, anime is just anything that's animated. So SpongeBob is anime in Japan.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, like, does there have to be an element of exoticism to anime?
That's a good question. You should answer that yourself.
I don't have an answer for that.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know. That's a anime requires some sort of exoticism. I don't know, because then you got like slice of life shows that don't really have anything exotic in it.
No, but I would argue that the entire concept of a slice of life show is exotic.
Yes, you got.
But when I say exoticism, I mean like it still comes from Japan. So, like, we don't consider something like The Miraculous Ladybug from France in the same vein as we consider a similar show from Japan.
I have friends who would disagree with you there.
Okay.
Yeah, so a lot of my friends watched a lot of, ironically enough, A Magical Ladybug, and they treated it the exact same way as anime.
Okay.
So
yeah, I haven't seen it myself. It's just
don't watch it, it's bad.
The
but
example
still.
That came to mind.
I don't know. I mean, that's kind of hard to say. Because I feel like, well, first off, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that it was animated in Japan. Avatar.
Ew.
So, like, that
makes things so much more complicated.
Say, that muddies the water a little bit. Like, it was written, I think, in the United States, but I think some of the production companies actually animated the show.
Wait, The Last Airbender as well? Because I remember Korra being, like, animated in Korea or whatever.
I'm not sure. Let me look that up right now. But I'm pretty sure that Avatar: The Last Airbender was animated by. I'm typing this in on my phone, guys, not my desktop, obviously.
Yeah, of course. Do you need to go to the computer lab to look some things up?
No. I'm just gonna see if I can find it real quick, and if not, I'm just gonna give up.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I was thinking that.
Yeah, no, I guess not.
Part of what makes anime in a Western conception is that it's not Western.
I can see that. I think that's definitely one of the reasons it rose to popularity was because it was this weird niche genre where you can be special and different. Like, ooh,
yeah, definitely.
You know, we live in the West, but we're hardcore fans of the East. You know.
Mm-hmm. Like when you look at the advertisements for Akira, back when it was first coming out in the United States, on like hard to find VHS tapes, a lot of the advertising lingo, the selling points, were like, visit the strange world of Japanese anime. This isn't normal animation. Like, so yeah, if you go back to when anime was first starting to take off in the US, then you do get in the advertisements a lot of this, a lot of mentions of the exoticism of it. So,
let's see.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's a good question: Can anime can Japanese animation? Can anime in Japan? One more time. So shows in Japan that are animated, can they not be anime?
Yes.
All right,
Alex,
do
you have
next
an opinion?
subject. No,
yeah, next question.
That's it. Solid answer. All right, and next. Alex, speak, child.
Yeah, Alex, you're up.
This is, I mean, this is a subject that I don't have a super, like, concrete stance on, because, like, I don't know. I've never really, like, stopped to think about, like, what is and isn't anime in, like, a super well-defined the thing. Because, like, if someone would tell me that, like, Avatar: The Last Airbender is anime, part of me is like, no, but then part of me is like, I mean, I could understand why you might think that. I don't know, like, how I would describe anime, though, because it's such a, what is the word I'm looking for? It doesn't really have, like, a set definition, because I don't know, it changes depending on who you ask, and I don't really have a defined definition. I'm just going with the flow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel you. And I feel like that's honestly the best way to go about it, is just not to care, watch the shows you want to watch, and if it feels like anime, then it's probably anime.
I'm totally changing the name of this podcast to is SpongeBob anime. Just letting you know. Just warning you guys. This is gonna be the name of this episode.
Hey, that's fair. It's like the common way of phrasing that question, so. But, like, I don't know, like, I think we can all agree, and I say that a lot and I'm always wrong, that it's a lot easier to consider something like The King's Avatar to be anime than it is to consider something like The Boondocks to be anime.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that has a lot to do with that exotic element, because, I mean, I don't mean to sound racist here, but we're Americans. We have a lot, well, I'm an American. I don't want to speak for you or my audience members. But, yeah, my audience members, this is my podcast.
Yes, your audience members.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting us be part of your podcast.
You're welcome. Thank you for buying the art for my podcast, Matt.
You're welcome for editing it, too.
But yeah, I don't want to speak for anybody else, but I'm an American, and as somebody who's spent his entire life very far away from Eastern Asia, I instinctively see a lot of similarities between Japan and China, in a way that I don't see similarities between Japan and France.
Mm.
So, like, it's easier to consider King's Avatar anime than it is to consider the Boondocks anime, because, at least in my head, they have similar cultural backings behind them.
Yeah, but then, okay, then you're getting into that gray area again, like, is Avatar The Last Airbender anime? Because, once again, it might not have the backings of, like, of a Eastern culture, but it's definitely heavily inspired by Eastern culture.
Which is not necessarily the Eastern culture thing, but I would say the fact that it's inspired by anime is what makes it anime.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are also those heavy influences of Eastern culture there that are obvious, so. Which is part of why people always point to it. Huh? All about the lip flaps?
All about the lip flaps, because you'll notice in a show like Avatar The Last Airbender, their mouths will move differently. So, like, if they say, I don't know, a word that has, like, an O sound, their mouth moves, whereas, like, in anime, they don't do that typically. They just kind of open and close. So, how do you define your anime? By the lip flaps.
There you go.
There we go.
I've actually never noticed that. I've never paid attention to that.
Yeah, they don't pay much attention to lip flaps with anime.
That's because I'm always reading the subtitles anyway. So
Yeah,
I'm never really watching.
It's another reason dubs are superior.
Fight me.
Yep, fight me.
Hashtag sub life.
Yep. Well, I don't know. You brought up something really interesting, Matt, which is like how people get into anime because it's this it's something different,
edgy.
Like,
I want to be cool.
Yeah, exactly. I know that's part of the reason why I got into anime. It's like, oh, I'm consuming foreign media. I'm so, like, cultured. When, like, strangely enough, it's one of the least cultured things you can do.
It's exactly like Japan, guys.
Yeah.
If you ever move to Japan, like, your eyes grow, like, 5 inches.
Uh-huh.
You know, everyone has a good time in school. Everyone has candy colored hair. That's all
everyone has
real.
Friends.
And then you like harems are just popping up all over the place. So
Exactly.
if you want to just go to Japan.
That's actually part of the reason why I kind
waiting
of
for?
don't want to go to Japan. I don't want to have that dream of mine.
All the
shattered.
harems.
Yeah, all the harems. I just couldn't deal with the women guys.
Right.
But just like having my dreams shattered that hard. Like I know Japan isn't exactly like a bad country, but like for visitors and I think foreigners, like it's not exactly the greatest either to visit. From what I've heard.
Yeah, that's something that I've heard. I don't have any firsthand experience with it because I've never been to Japan. But like, I hear they're friendly to visitors, but not to expats.
Yeah.
And of course, it differs on an individual basis, but
no, but
still,
I don't know. I think that like actually, I would like to visit Japan like one day. Like make sure like it's very very intentional, like a 1 week or 2 week visit, like nothing more than that. So I don't think I would like. So I like having these little like idealized views of Japan sometimes. You know, I know like they have a huge problem with discrimination there against like certain classes left over from like whatchamacallit, the old system they have. They didn't have the caste system, but they had something similar.
I know what you're talking about.
And there's a lot of other like pretty like there's a lot of homeless. You got the Yakuza. I can't say it. It's just one of those things where it's like you like to think it's like this nice pretty place that's perfect and untouched, but like I know about the actual issues, so it's kind of like at the same like I don't want to go there and like have to actually deal with them and face them head on.
Yeah, because everyone who visits Japan has to pay protection to the Yakuza as soon as they enter the country.
Exactly. Especially
like, I don't want to have to deal with that.
Especially me. No, I know. I'm just saying. It's just one of those things where it's like, I like having, like, not ruining my dreams or my perspectives on certain things. That's why you never, they say never meet your heroes.
Mm-hmm.
No, Japan is my hero.
Japan is my... That's the title of the podcast.
Japan is my hero.
Mm-hmm. No, I get what you're saying. Because like, I've done a lot of work in Europe, and like when I was a French major learning French, as opposed to a French major learning calculus, but like, you have this view of France as this like clean, beautiful countrysides, like horrible people but great food. Mm-hmm. And it was basically the exact opposite of that. It was clean, beautiful countrysides with great people and mediocre food. So, I don't know. It definitely changed my perspective, but I think in a good way, in general. Because when you go to a place and you learn what it's really like, I think you have a better appreciation for the people and the culture. And you get this more... the sense of how everybody is basically the same, no matter where you go. Mm-hmm. Like, we have our cultural differences, but at our core, we're all people. We like sitting around dinner tables and laughing with our friends. Yeah. Or, like, sitting under kotatsus and laughing with our friends, like, whatever. I don't know. I think it might be disheartening in a way, but I think it's always better to have a clear view and a realistic view of other cultures than it is to have an idealized one, even if the idealized one is more fun.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I it's not like I don't know about like the truth about what's
right.
It's more of a case of like having to face reality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that always sucks.
I don't like facing reality. I like just hiding in my closet and playing video games all night long.
Yep, I feel you. That's what I've been doing for the past 3 months.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Yeah. Anyway, Alex, what is anime? Have you decided?
Anime is anime. Boom.
I think that's the best answer anybody's ever going to give.
Yeah, just about.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys been keeping up with the seasonals?
A little bit, yeah. I'm caught up on Uni Tyson and almost on King's Game.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
I finally watched Black Clover just last night.
Yeah, how was that?
How was Black Clover, Matt?
It's... okay, so...
how was Black Clover?
Pretty much. I mean, it's like, okay, his screaming's annoying as shit. But I think there's so many more problems with the show, which is why a lot of people hate it. I think.
Well, yeah, it's just like Google DeepMind looked at all the shonen anime and spat something out.
Yeah, I think that's basically it. Because there's just like the themes change too much. Like the main character is like so generic, and then also the side characters are generic. Mm-hmm. Like, ooh, I'm Edgelord McEdgy. I'm going to be depressed.
Edgelord McEdgy.
And, fucking, oh no, like, I was crying all the time. And then my best friend, he got beat up sort of bad, not like really bad, but like kind of bad. So I'm never gonna cry again. And now we're enemies, and now we're rivals. Like, Jesus Christ.
And now we're animes.
Yeah, now we're animes.
We figured it out, guys.
We figured it out. That was the real answer. It was Black Clover all along.
Anime is Black Clover.
But no, it's just like a case of like, what the fuck is the point of this show? It's like, oh yeah, the first episode's like this kind of lighthearted, like happy beat. Then like all of a sudden it's really dark because he got cut in half. And then no, he's just kidding. It was an animation thing. And then, oh, now he has superpowers. Oh, but he doesn't have superpowers. It's like, oh my god, just fucking choose what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get like where they're going with it sometimes, but they just keep fucking up. Like the whole thing with like the division between the wealthy and the poor. Like, that's a good theme. I like that theme.
Yeah,
that's a good one to shove in there. But you know what you're supposed to do first? Establish the difference. Mm-hmm. We don't hear, like, he's like always like, you can be an orphan or poor and still become anything you want to be in life. But yeah, that's great. But we hadn't had any encounters with a rich person at that point in the anime. Like, why the fuck are you talking about this shit? Like, it was 2 episodes before we ever even dealt with the nobles. It was like, why didn't you just have something where the nobles, like fucking...
There were nobles present when he got his grimoire.
Yeah, but they were just kind of dicks. But, like, I mean, everybody was being a dick to him. It wasn't like just the nobles were being little shits. Everyone was like, yeah, you're fucking useless. It's just a case of, like...
To be fair, he was fucking useless.
I mean, he was, and they weren't wrong. But it's a case of, like, what the fuck is up with this shit? I'm doing a whole video. I'm gonna write a whole video for next week on this, because it's just, like, one of these things where it's just... there's so many things wrong with the show. It's like, wow. I'm glad that a lot of people hate the show, like really have a certain hatred for it, because I feel like it's similar to Sword Art Online in the fact that it's just so really generic that's impressive. So I'm actually gonna keep watching it just because I want to see like just how generic they can make the show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm super excited because I'm probably going to end up... I don't know how long the manga's going to go for, but I'll probably read the whole thing because I like shonen, so even if I hate it, I'm going to watch it for comparison, and...
Rest in peace, man.
I mean, for your suffering, you're probably going to get a lot of views when you put out videos about, like, how Black Clover does what it does.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
maybe, how Black Clover is the savior of anime.
Don't do that.
Don't lie.
But yeah, like, Black Clover is just... It's interesting to look at because it's like the pure distillation of every shonen trope.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
So, like...
hurts me.
Well, yeah, but still. Like, I guess, I don't want to say from a scholarly standpoint, because it's Black Clover and I'm not quite that pretentious, but, I don't know, from somebody who examines anime for a living, it's an anime, I think. Did we establish that?
Well, I mean, is anything really anime, though?
Anime
is not a real genre, though. That's the thing I think we established. And no, it's not anime.
Well, yeah, we definitely established that anime's not a real genre.
We're just not smart enough to understand it, guys.
Yeah, you have to have a very high IQ to understand Black Clover.
At least 180. After that, you can watch Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a low blow.
We should talk about Rick and Morty someday.
We should. I'm a big
Rick and Morty's a great show.
Let's see. What about you guys? You have anything interesting to say on any other shows?
I don't know. Still watching King's Game. King's Game is still terrible.
I'm glad I haven't watched that one.
You would get nothing out of it. Like, if you watch the first episode and you don't like it, then don't watch anymore. But, like, it's just so strange to me, because normally when something is just utter trash, I can't stand it. But for some reason, King's Game is just hitting my buttons.
There you go.
Maybe it's just because I hate teenagers so much and I want to see them suffer, but...
Oh, yeah. Remember when we first did the season podcast, and you're like, yeah, Evil or Live. It's like, what show, but better.
Yeah,
I want to correct you that it's worse in every way.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, Evil or Alive, what the fuck happened to that
Yeah,
show?
it's
That's
so
hilarious. It's so bad it's kind of funny though, actually.
Well, yeah, no, it's entertaining. Like we get shows like that sometimes. It's rare that we get shows that are bad yet enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
But we get shows that are bad and entertaining because they're bad. And Evil or Live is definitely one of those.
Such a fucking terrible show. It's amazing.
Oh, it's so bad.
I thought it was just kind of boring, personally.
Well, boring is part of why it's bad.
I just
that's
love
not,
how
that's not part of
edgy
why
it's
it's
trying to
entertainingly
be.
bad.
Mm-hmm. No, 2001 A Boob Odyssey is part of why it's entertainingly bad. Are we just going to stand here in the hallway thinking about 2001 A Boob Odyssey, or are we done?
1 second. All right, yeah, I'm done. I'm good now. I got it in my head.
That was my favorite Japanimation.
Oh, Alex, did you ever watch Uni Tyson?
You know, I was planning to get to it at a point.
I do know.
That point hasn't come about yet.
But it should have, though.
Really,
Alex, you had 2 weeks.
You know, I did. Instead, I watched The Legend of Korra and had a fun time.
Is Legend of Korra anime, though?
that's the real question.
Though? Legend of Korra is the ultimate anime.
Are you okay, Alex?
Well, I was having some difficulties yesterday. Some supernatural stuff was affecting me. I had this weird
he was
issue
flickering in and out of existence.
I was like teleporting. It's like when you try to hop into a Discord call and your internet is bad, so you keep losing connection and can't really hear the conversation. It was like that, but in reality. So yeah, like I was just disappearing. It was odd, very odd.
Mm-hmm.
What were we talking about again before we broke the fourth wall for like the fifth
I brought
time
up
this
Uni
podcast?
Tyson for no particular reason.
Yeah, for no particular reason. Uni Tyson, I love Uni Tyson. You
same.
taught me into watching this last week, and I'm pretty proud of it. Do you want to hear my Uni Tyson theory?
Of course I do. There's a reason I brought it up.
Really slick. Okay, so here's my theory. So like, put on your little what is it called? The aluminum foil around your head.
Oh, they're on.
Because it's great. It's a non-spoiler theory. I almost made a video on it, but then I stopped myself because it's gonna get disproved like so quick. It's not even funny.
Mm-hmm.
I think Dragon, Snake, and Monkey are working together.
Interesting. Well, Dragon is dead.
No, Snake is dead.
What? Okay, fine. Snake is dead.
Yeah, Snake is the one who's dead. Here's my theory, though. Snake isn't actually dead.
Okay, he doesn't have a head, so you're gonna have to.
Okay, here's my theory. Dragon and so think about it. Dragon and Snake are a duo group, right? And they're like
That's right.
known for like their amazing teamwork. So why the fuck would Dragon let Snake die like before the game even begins?
Mm-hmm.
Just because the obvious theory is, oh yeah, it's because he wants to win the game and they're gonna have to kill each other anyway. So might as well let him die early. But it's a terrible strategy because now he has like fucking no chance of winning without Snake.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what would be another really good strategy, right?
Yeah.
Have someone impersonate Snake.
Okay.
Have that guy get killed, then grab both gems, then hide out with the actual Snake and Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can win and surprise the whole thing. But here's where the aluminum foil starts to get really around. I don't think Dragon would come up with that plan. That sounds like a Monkey plan. Because Monkey's well known for like kind of getting ahead of everybody and planning ahead. And Dragon's the only person we haven't seen so far since the beginning of the show. So my theory is that that's like the final plan for Monkey. Is that Dragon and Snake are both gonna come out and fucking help her like win the game. Or not so much win the game, but more so like basically like she paid them off early to help her get her peace plan going. Because that's the only way you can really think that would make sense, where Dragon wasn't super triggered when Snake died and just like let Bunny walk around with no problems.
Yeah.
Because that
I guess that's fair.
That doesn't make any sense. So that's my cap is that Dragon, Snake, and Monkey are working together to try to end the game. That's the only reason why we haven't seen Dragon at all. And I think the thing is that Snake's still alive. That's the guy who's dead is the impersonator of Snake.
Mm-hmm.
And what was my other theory? That was, I think that's just about it. So that's my crazy aluminum foil head theory on Uni Tyson. I'm really excited.
I don't think it's totally unreasonable.
What's your opinion on it? Because that's the only thing that doesn't make any sense to me is why Dragon just let Snake die.
Mm-hmm. No, like what you said with him getting somebody to impersonate Snake, I think it could happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I don't think it did.
Well, my thing is that another key note I noticed, like when I was rewatching it with my friends, is that when we first see the twins, Boar intentionally says, "Oh, that must be the twins. I've never seen them before." That's the only explanation. So in other words, like we don't know what they actually look like.
Right, that makes sense.
So, and not to mention the other guy's just walking without a head. So we don't really. I mean, we saw a skull on the floor, but you can make things work.
Plus,
there's fucking magic in this world, man.
Rabbit did raise his hand to start working with Monkey at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, that was another theory. Is I think Rabbit might technically be on their side, but if that's the case, he wouldn't be fighting her right now.
Yeah.
So I don't really think Rabbit's part of the team, but I can see Rabbit like just switching sides because he's like, fuck it, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I just love Rabbit because he's like a super genius.
Oh yeah, I love Rabbit because he's psychotic.
Well, that's the thing. I think that's just fake though. I think that's just an act.
Yeah, same. But he's such a good villain.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't like that they gave the whole thing a purpose for existing. Besides, like, honor.
Yeah, I would have preferred just the honor, like the whole like trading world, trading countries and shit. That's
eh.
I mean, the show isn't. I'm not calling the show great. There's a lot of problems with the show. I've picked up on.
I think it's really good.
I don't like the fact that we started off the show, and then get these giant backlogs on characters, and then they get killed off. Like it's like almost obvious who's gonna die next. It's like, oh, we're hearing their backstory.
Well, I mean, besides the fact that it's reverse Zodiac order.
Oh, is it reverse Zodiac order?
The death order so far has been reverse Zodiac order.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't even notice.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's cool, but it's also, like, really?
Yeah, who's next then, technically?
I don't know.
God damn it.
Yeah. I forgot.
No, but I think that's... what's your theories on Uni Tyson? Do you have any?
Well, my friend Holden, who lives under my bed playing Eternal, he's pretty convinced that Rat is going to win. Both because he's last in the Zodiac order, and because he's the only person we really don't know anything about. So,
true story.
I don't know. I mean, obviously Monkey is like I don't want to say the emotional center of the whole thing, but she's like the thing that's causing the conflict.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I just think it's a really cool show. Just a nice battle royale. Mm-hmm.
It's enjoyable. Although, like, the first actual battle has finally started. All the other like fights have just been cheese kills, which I thought was kind of
what else
funny.
would you expect?
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's the realistic battle royale, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bunch of cheesing. Like, oh, and you're dead. Anyway, I don't know what else to talk about. What do you guys want to talk about? Still got a little bit of time before class starts. My bad.
I've talked a lot, Alex. What do you want to talk about?
Well, we could talk about Legend of Korra. How do you guys feel about Legend of Korra?
I've never seen either Avatar
general?
Series.
How have you never seen
You're helping me out here, Eric.
I mean, that is a good question, but, like, I saw some of the first season of the original Avatar, and then, like the last episode.
Yeah, I would watch Avatar: The Last Airbender, just the original.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna watch them in order. But...
Yeah, watch in order. It's really amazing. It's actually like, honestly, like there's a reason why it's so famous. It's such a
I've
well-written
only
show.
ever heard good things about either of them.
Legend of Korra, I will warn you, is a little bit. It's not as good. It's a lot different.
Okay.
And there's some of the middle seasons definitely are like the weakest seasons of the show. Like it's kind of slow.
even when you say that, like they are kind of the weakest, but that's not. I still feel as though Legend of Korra explores interesting ideas. It's just that maybe the execution falls a little flat.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't explore interesting ideas. I'm just saying that like season 2, if I'm not it's either season 2 or 3. It's just like so slow. It's like so boring. Like it's one of those like really kind of predictable.
Season 2
Was it the one with the guy that could
the spirit guy
bending?
Wait, that was the first season. You didn't like the bending
the first
guy?
season? Yeah, he was annoying as shit. Okay, well then
What?
The first season, I didn't like him.
Oh my god!
It's just a case of like I don't. I think all of the original Avatar is strong. It's like from episode 1 to the finale, but like Korra definitely has its weak points, I think.
But the main guy in the first arc is voiced by Steve Bloom, and he voices anime characters.
I don't care about Steve
therefore
Bloom.
he is
Which
anime.
makes Avatar anime.
Yes. Now,
Well, we've come full circle.
we have come full circle, guys.
I live in a square.
Ooh.
Live in a pineapple under the sea.
SpongeBob SquarePants.
But is it anime?
It is. We got. I'm sure it exists already. An anime OP for SpongeBob. I want to look this up.
There
now.
is one. I've seen it. I think they used the second Noragami song for it.
It's a good song.
I prefer the first Noragami song, but
I mean, they're both pretty good.
yeah.
I mean, yeah. I don't know. Something about the second one just seems to kind of like stand out to me more. I don't know exactly what it is, but you know, the first song was also good. I don't have much other detail to go into other than that.
I've seen an anime OP for Game of Thrones, which was great.
Awesome.
That's probably my favorite one I've seen so far. It's all fully animated too. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, you need to send me a link to that.
I will. It's pretty amazing. I don't know. I guess we can just go ahead and head to class, guys.
Yeah, sure. No problem with getting there a little early.
Sorry, guys. We need to come up with more subjects next time.
Yeah. What are you talking about? It's just a normal conversation in the hallway.
There we go. Hey, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been Manime Matt.
Explanation point.
And Math Wiz. Yeah.
Great.
See you guys next time.
Bye.
Later.